FIFA was created in 1904, but the first World Cup wasn't played until 26 years later. Why such a long wait? What could have pushed the World Cup to be organized before 1930? How exactly would those early tournaments have played out? And if the World Cup began earlier, how would it change football history? All these questions and more will be answered in this video. The first official international football match was played in 1872 between Scotland and England, with Wales and Ireland joining later. England and Scotland dominated early football, with matches between their top clubs even called a World Championship, though this didn't involve national teams. International football spread beyond the British Isles in 1902, when Argentina beat Uruguay 6-0, followed by Austria defeating Hungary. Bohemia debuted in 1903, and Belgium played France in 1904, just before FIFA was founded. Fittingly, that year also saw the abolition of the so-called Football World Championship, a name that's hard to justify for an exclusively British tournament in a sport that's becoming increasingly global. As football spread across countries and continents, an international governing body was needed. Although England initially opposed FIFA, they joined in 1905. FIFA unsuccessfully attempted to organize a tournament in 1906, but supervised football at the 1908 Olympics. The 1912 tournament followed FIFA regulations as well, and 2 years after that, FIFA recognized the Olympic football tournament as a world championship for amateurs. Each tournament was more successful than the last, which eventually encouraged FIFA to go their own way and create the World Cup. Also, the rise of professional football at the time created a demand for a tournament beyond the Olympics, where amateurism was favored. As a result, at the 1928 FIFA Congress, spearheaded by Jules, it was decided that the first World Cup would take place in Uruguay 2 years later. Going back to an earlier question, to be very brief, the main reason it took so long for the World Cup to begin is that the Olympic football framework, though in its infancy, was already established when FIFA was founded. It made more sense for FIFA to supervise an existing tournament, rather than create their own. But in an alternate timeline, FIFA's and Reyes' frustration with the 1908 Olympic tournament's flaws, withdrawals, financial issues and weak competition could have led them to start the World Cup much earlier, in 1910. Unlike the 1908 Olympic tournament, the World Cup would be a proper competition, not just a show. Keep in mind, I can't address every nuance or factor of this alternate timeline in detail. If I did, this video would be overloaded with footnotes and disclaimers, far more than there already are, and stretch on for hours. This is meant to be a fun thought experiment, not a scientific study, exploring how full-strength pre-1930 World Cups might have played out. If you're curious about any details I don't mention in the video, ask in the comments. Now let's move on to the 1910 World Cup. Switzerland was chosen as the host due to its central location, which reduced travel time and expenses for competitors, its neutrality, which made it diplomatically appealing, and the FIFA's prior interest in staging a tournament there in 1906, though unsuccessfully at that time. FIFA aimed to have at least 16 participants, twice the intended number of the 1908 Olympic tournament. The teams would be divided into 4 groups of 4, with each group winner advancing to a knockout stage to decide the winner, an unforgiving format that didn't leave any room for error. The format also offered the added benefit of maximizing ticket sales by ensuring more matches and allowing each team greater participation, in contrast to a straight knockout tournament. Attempting to avoid another withdrawal fiasco like the one in the 1908 Olympic tournament, FIFA offered financial compensation to teams for traveling to the World Cup in Switzerland. Don't ask me how they got that money. FIFA invited its founding members to participate at the first World Cup, except Spain due to a schism in their football federation and them not having a national team. France, having left FIFA in 1908 over disagreements, was convinced to rejoin in time for the tournament, thanks largely to the efforts of Jules, who was eager to see his country, France, participate in the World Cup he helped create. However, Bohemia was still rejected entry, despite having originally become FIFA members in 1906, due to objections from the Austrian FA. Reyes and FIFA also wanted the home nations to participate, due to their strength at the time. Initially, the British FAs dismissed the idea of joining the World Cup, considering their home championship sufficient as a world championship, due to the home nations' football dominance at the time. However, persuasion from Edouard de la Vallée, who played a key role in England joining FIFA in 1905, and FIFA president Daniel Burley-Woolfall, an Englishman, eventually changed their minds. Ireland, Scotland and Wales became FIFA members in time for the World Cup, while England had joined earlier as mentioned before. Argentina and Uruguay, as South America's leading teams, were crucial to making the tournament a true World Cup rather than a European Championship in disguise. FIFA aimed for broader representation, but struggled to secure participants from outside Europe and South America. South Africa, which had notably defeated Argentina in 1906, was invited but declined. The remaining spots were filled by Austria, Hungary and Italy. Quick disclaimer before we get to the matches. Early football was wild, so some of these scorelines will look crazy, but I assure you I've done extensive research. That said, it's of course extremely difficult to know how a lot of these teams would match up against each other so early in history. But even if a result seems improbable by 1910 standards, keep in mind that upsets do happen. Let's see how the tournament unfolded. Group A kicked off with host Switzerland narrowly losing to Austria, while Wales overcame Hungary. Switzerland bounced back in their second match, defeating Hungary, but Wales continued their dominance with a win over Austria in a goal-filled encounter. In the final matches, Wales secured their top spots at the top of the group by defeating Switzerland, while Hungary claimed a hard-fought win over Austria to finish on a high. England opened Group B with a resounding victory over France, while Denmark demolished Italy. England then overwhelmed Italy, and Denmark followed suit with another staggering win against France. The group leaders clashed on the final matchday, drawing and ensuring they both finished on 5 points. Although only a draw, it was still a huge surprise, given how favoured England were. Italy concluded their campaign with a win over France to avoid finishing last. A playoff was required to break the tie at the top, and England triumphed over Denmark to secure first place, preventing a jaw-dropping upset. However, the Danes could still be proud of their tournament. Group C saw Scotland emerge as the standout team, cruising to the semi-finals with 3 emphatic victories. They began their campaign with a win over Uruguay, while the Netherlands defeated Belgium. In Scotland's second match, they thrashed Belgium, and Uruguay fought to a draw against the Dutch. Scotland then secured the top spot with a commanding victory over the Dutch, while Uruguay ended their group stage with a win against Belgium. Ireland led the way in Group D, advancing to the semi-finals with a perfect record. They began by defeating Sweden, while Argentina edged out Germany. Ireland continued their strong form with a victory over Argentina, while Germany and Sweden played out a thrilling draw. Argentina closed their group stage with a win over Sweden, and Ireland sealed first place with a victory over Germany. Despite the globalization of football, the home nations were still dominant at the time, proven by them occupying all knockout spots. Both semi-finals were home championship rematches. In the first one, England secured their ticket to the final with 2 goals against Wales. The match between Scotland and Ireland was goalless after 90 minutes, the first time it happened in the World Cup's short history, but the Scots found the winning goal during extra time to prevail. The final was a tight and hard-fought affair between England and Scotland, who had played each other in the very first official international match, almost 38 years earlier. A solitary goal from Scotland decided the match, as they claimed the title and became the first ever FIFA World Cup champions. If you're enjoying this video, hit like and subscribe. It really helps me make more content like this for you. Anyways, I wonder if the British dominance will ever end. FIFA fulfilled its promise to stage the second World Cup in South America, selecting Argentina as the host nation. South American participation expanded to 4 teams, doubling their presence from the inaugural tournament. Paraguay also showed interest but failed to organize a national team in time. The home nations received direct invitations, while continental European teams competed in qualifiers for the first time, leading to spots for Denmark, Sweden, don't ask me how we did versus Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, Hungary, Austria, Germany and France. Bohemia remained expelled from FIFA, and the Philippines declined due to a lack of interest, limiting participants to Europe and South America again. Brazil and Chile debuted, while Italy and Switzerland failed to qualify despite participating in the last edition. The format remained largely unchanged, except for one key adjustment. Group runner-ups now advanced alongside winners, expanding the knockout stage from 4 to 8 teams. Ireland dominated Group A, starting with a win against hosts Argentina and following it up with a commanding victory over France. In their final match, they secured another strong result to claim the top spot. Argentina advanced as the runner-up, after defeating Sweden and France. Sweden managed a single victory over France to finish third, while France went home winless. In Group B, Wales began with a draw against the Netherlands and followed it up with a solid win over Germany. The Welsh secured first place with another impressive match against debutants Brazil. Germany finished second after defeating Brazil and narrowly edging out the Netherlands in a spectacular game. The Netherlands managed a single win over Brazil to claim third place in the group, while Brazil exited the tournament without a victory. Denmark dominated Group C, starting with a win over Chile and a staggering demolition of Belgium. The Danes concluded their group stage with a sensational victory against England, securing the top position. England advanced in second place, highlighted by a dominant victory over Belgium and a strong showing against Chile. Belgium and Chile finished level after a draw in their final match, with neither managing to progress further. Title holders Scotland, never thought I'd say that, emerged victorious in Group D, beginning their campaign with a win over Uruguay and following it up with another against Austria. They secured the top spot with a hard-fought draw against Hungary in a match the Scots were expected to win. Uruguay advanced in second place after victories against Hungary and Austria. Austria managed a single win over Hungary, getting revenge for their defeat at the first World Cup, while Hungary ended their group stage with a draw but no wins. In the quarter-finals, Ireland secured a 4-2 win over Germany, while Denmark triumphed 4-3 over Uruguay after extra time. Wales edged past Argentina 2-1, eliminating the hosts, and Scotland defeated England by the same scoreline in a replay of the World Cup final 4 years prior. Moving to the semi-finals, Ireland overcame Denmark 2-1 after extra time, while Wales narrowly beat the defending champions Scotland 1-0 to join the Irish in the final. In the bronze match, Scotland claimed third place with a 2-1 victory in a competitive encounter with Denmark, who could also be proud of their tournament. But Ireland could be even prouder, as they became world champions by defeating Wales 2-0, mere days before the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Following a minor squabble, the World Cup returned in 1922, hosted by the Netherlands. This was the first World Cup after World War I, and teams from the former Central Powers were not allowed to join. The home nations even called for Austria, Germany and Hungary to be removed from FIFA completely, but this idea was rejected. Despite disagreeing with FIFA's decision, the home nations still decided to take part. The World Cup was becoming too important and respected for them to miss, even with the post-war tensions. I'm not gonna cut that out. The Netherlands qualified as hosts. From South America, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay and Paraguay qualified, while Chile missed out. Czechoslovakia joined FIFA in time and qualified. By now, Spain had managed to form a national team, which successfully qualified as well. Norway, Italy and Denmark also secured tickets for this World Cup, which was the first to spread beyond Europe and South America, as Egypt and the United States entered. There were as many as 6 debutants. Don't ask me about Sweden. In Group A, the Netherlands and Italy drew their opening match, while Paraguay and Wales also played to a stalemate. The Dutch then defeated Paraguay, and Wales held Italy to a draw. Wales secured first place with a narrow victory over the Netherlands, while Italy and Paraguay drew in their final match. A playoff was needed to decide second place, with Italy edging out the Dutch this time to eliminate the hosts. Group B saw Spain begin with a win over Argentina, while England dominated the United States. Argentina rebounded with a victory over the US, but Spain and England played to a draw in their head-to-head game. England edged past Argentina to claim second place, and Spain topped the group on goal difference, with a dominant win over the US. The South American champions Argentina didn't live up to their full potential. In Group C, Scotland opened with a victory over Argentina, their third consecutive World Cup encounter, while Czechoslovakia defeated Egypt. Scotland then cruised past the Egyptians, and Uruguay edged Czechoslovakia. Scotland finished first after a win over Czechoslovakia, while Uruguay claimed second place by beating Egypt in their final game. Group D began with title holders Ireland and debutant Norway sharing the points, while Brazil narrowly defeated Denmark to earn their first World Cup victory. Ireland then drew with Brazil, and Denmark earned a dramatic win over Norway. Ireland clinched the top spot with a win against Denmark, and Brazil secured second place by defeating the Norwegians. In the quarterfinals, England defeated Wales in a close contest, and Scotland secured a convincing victory over Ireland to eliminate the defending champions. Spain overcame Italy after extra time, while Uruguay defeated neighbours Brazil to advance. The semi-finals featured Scotland again eliminating England, this time after extra time. The second semi-final was historic for multiple reasons. Uruguay became the first South American team to progress this far in the tournament, and it marked the first time a knockout match required a replay after ending level following 90 minutes and extra time. After a hard-fought 1-1 draw, the teams faced off again, with Uruguay narrowly defeating Spain to secure their place in the final. In the bronze match, England claimed third place with a win over Spain. The final saw inaugural winners Scotland and South America's hope Uruguay face off for the title. Scotland opened the scoring and had the upper hand, but Uruguay equalized halfway through the second half, refusing to surrender. However, the Scots found the winner during extra time, benefiting from their previous experience at this level and being more rested than Uruguay, who effectively had to play 2 semi-finals. Scotland were champions again. The World Cup returned to South America in 1926, hosted by Uruguay. The continent retained 4 spots in the tournament, not counting host Uruguay, who were joined by Argentina, Brazil, Chile and Paraguay. For the first time, the home nations were required to earn their participation through qualifiers, rather than being directly invited, as football's global growth saw other national teams catching up. However, the home nations only lost 1 spot. The 1925-26 British Home Championship, doubling as a World Cup qualifying group, saw Scotland, Ireland and Wales secure places at the tournament, while England's sensational elimination was a major fiasco. Egypt and the United States returned to compete, and China, champions at the 1925 Far Eastern Games, eventually decided to join after persuasion from FIFA, making them the first Asian team to participate in a World Cup. From Europe, Romania was the sole debutant, while Denmark, Sweden, Spain and Austria also secured qualification. In Group A, the tournament began with Uruguay defeating Ireland, followed by Egypt claiming a historic first World Cup victory over Denmark. Uruguay then secured a dominant win against Egypt, while Ireland and Denmark played to a draw in their second matches. Uruguay concluded their group stage campaign with another victory, this time over Denmark, and Ireland narrowly defeated Egypt to secure second place in the group. In Group B, Argentina opened their campaign with a victory over Paraguay, while Austria defeated Wales in their first match. Austria continued their strong start with another win, this time against Paraguay, as Argentina defeated Wales to maintain their lead at the top of the group. The group concluded with a draw between Argentina and Austria, securing both teams' progression, while Paraguay managed a consolation win over Wales in their final match. In Group C, Spain began with a narrow win over Sweden, followed by Chile securing a comfortable victory against China. Spain continued their dominance with a victory over China, while Chile edged out Sweden in a tightly contested match. Spain then defeated Chile to confirm their top spot, and Sweden finished their campaign with a win over China. In Group D, Scotland opened with a hard-fought victory against Brazil, while Romania defeated the United States. Scotland then defeated the United States in their second match, while Romania overcame Brazil to position themselves well in the group. Scotland secured the top spot with a final victory over Romania, and Brazil earned their only win of the tournament against the United States in their last match. In the quarterfinals, Uruguay faced Austria in a tightly contested match, with Uruguay emerging victorious. Spain defeated Romania in another close encounter to advance. Argentina overcame Ireland in a hard-fought game, while Scotland secured a victory against Chile. In the semi-finals, Uruguay continued their dominant run by defeating Spain to book their place in the final. The other semi-final between Argentina and Scotland ended in a draw, requiring a replay where Scotland prevailed. The bronze match saw Spain claim silverware by defeating Argentina in a blistering 3-2 affair. The final was a rematch of the one played 4 years earlier. Uruguay, showing improvement since then, avenged their previous loss to Scotland with a 2-1 victory in front of their home fans, securing a historic World Cup title as the first South American team to achieve the feat. If the World Cup did begin earlier as in this timeline, how would it have affected football history? Scotland would have 2 World Cup titles and Ireland would have 1. The World Cup would probably be expanded sooner, which would lead to earlier debuts for some countries, maybe even deep tournament runs we otherwise wouldn't have seen. A different country would have hosted this timeline's 1930 World Cup, since Uruguay hosted the 1926 edition, which could lead to a crazy chain reaction with future hosts. The home nations wouldn't miss out on the first World Cups of our timeline due to having a better relationship with FIFA. The globalization of football could be accelerated, spreading the sport's popularity and infrastructure more quickly worldwide. Countries may be encouraged to embrace professional football sooner, potentially leading to stronger club systems and national teams. Teams and players from the early tournaments could dominate the historical record books, reshaping football's narrative. Early success might lead to different nations being historically recognized as football powerhouses. The importance of early World Cups might alter the balance between international and club competitions, potentially shaping modern football calendars differently. Increased exposure to different styles of play from an earlier stage could speed up the tactical evolution of the game. Legends and pioneers might emerge earlier, creating a different roster of football icons and heroes. And much, much more. Too much to go over in detail. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the lion, or 3 lions. England. Despite their underwhelming performances in this timeline, I hold no grudge against them, believe it or not. I've previously even been accused of glazing them too much. England's lack of titles in these early World Cups comes down to sheer bad timing. Had the first 2 tournaments been held just a year earlier or later, England would have won 1 or 2 titles. That's about all I have time for today. If you want a sequel that explores more of this alternate timeline, beg me in the comments and I might just make it at some point. But it would be a big undertaking and a matter of several months, maybe even years. Special thanks to Mildtryth on the alternate history forums for helping out with some research, and Atzyn for exploring a similar alternate history scenario, where the World Cup began in 1906.